Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious and today we're going to be going over Skyblock Update 0.21.1 which includes the experimentation table RNG meter among other changes. Before we begin, I just want to say, please make sure to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video and hit the notification bell to keep up to date with future content. Also make sure to use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado though, let's get started. Starting off with the experimentation table RNG meter, there is obviously an RNG meter for the experimentation table, shocking. If you click on it, you're able to go to pretty much every single drop in the experimentation table and set it as your RNG meter. You can also now do the experimentation table up to 3 times per day for free, and you can do it 3 additional times, as you can see right here. So after my 3 initial attempts today, I can then renew experiments and it increases in price every single time. The cooldown is for another 21 hours. It seems to be based more on when you actually do the experimentation table rather than just arbitrarily resetting at 7 o'clock, although I could be wrong about that, so keep that in mind. There also is just not too many other changes here. They did make it so that in the super pairs section of the minigame, you are able to get a lot more XP, which translates to a lot more experimentation table XP, which I guess is pretty nice. People are also reporting that these are dropping way more often than before, and I wouldn't be that shocked if many of the tier 7 books were far cheaper in the near future. If you go over to the RNG meter, by the way, and you go to like a Catacombs RNG meter, let's just say I want to look at the Livid die, you can see it's now shown in this meter, and you can select it as per usual. You can also do the same for pretty much all of the Slayer RNG meter dies, right here like Byzantium. If I go over here, there's Sangria, and then if I go over here, there's Flame. So you can do all of that if you want to. Next up, we have the Abandoned Quarry. The Abandoned Quarry itself can be accessed by going to the Ticketmaster within the Dwarven Mines and clicking on the Abandoned Quarry area. Shocking, I know. Once you're here, you'll be able to mine Mithril. Shocking, I know. But there's also a bit of quartz alongside some of the walls and this pretty interesting pool. In this pool, you can get Mithril Grubbers, which are a new sort of mob. I go over to my bestiary and then go into fishing, and then go over into regular fishing. You can see the Mithril Grubber right here. There are 4 different types, and they drop a certain amount of Mithril powder, going from 250 all the way up to 5,000. And this does work with things like double powder, by the way, so keep that in mind. There's also a new Fairy Soul right down here in the water, so make sure to pick that up if you don't already have it. As well, there is a new Abophone contact for Brinmore within the Dwarven Mines, but you need to help him out first. And to do this, you need to get an item, that is basically a teacup, within the Abandoned Quarry. In order to do this, you just need a fish down there. It's in the treasure loot pool, but it is pretty rare, so keep that in mind. But if you're able to get it, then you'll be able to get the Abophone contact for Brinmore, which is pretty nice, and you'll be able to get access to his items, which are definitely very important. Next up, we're in the garden for some pretty interesting things. Notably, in the Pest Hunter's Wares shop, there are a few new items. Notably, there's now a full set of Pest Hunter equipment if you want to pick it up. It decreases the spawn cooldown of pests by 10% per piece, and it also has a tiered bonus that goes up to 100 farming fortune, which is pretty cool. However, it is not as cool as you would think. There are certainly a few issues right now with the garden. Most notably, Pest Repellent now no longer works and works the opposite way you would expect. It actually spawns more pests than you'd think. And on top of that, the pest rates are just not very good from my understanding. And there does need to be a few changes with regard to these pest rates in order to bring things back up to a happy medium. I've attached the forum post detailing all of the changes down below for you to check them out, but I've gone over all of the other changes related to the garden in the previous videos about this update. Not much has changed there. Next up, we're hopping in the Rift for a little bit just to talk about some new changes. Most notably, if you go over to the top of the mountaintop and you kill Detective Amog there, congratulations, you've gotten yourself a new achievement. Also, if you go into your recipes and look up the word warm, you will see that there is 2 new recipes, the warm and warmer wizard face. The warm one is pretty basic. It's an anti-bite scarf and the wizard face. The warmer one is for the upgraded anti-bite scarf and the wizard face once again. This basically allows you to combine these 2 items together and get a better variant right here. I think this is pretty cool. It allows you to finally get like a specific setup that's perfect every single time. You won't need to swap every time you're in the Rift, so I really like this. We're now in the Crimson Isle for an update 2 of all things Hab Tactics, and actually I think it's in a pretty good state now. All things considered, on the Alpha Network, the original buff to Hab Tactics was not very strong, and people were not looking into this as a good option. However, if we're on the main server and we go over to our Hab Tactics on the Bazaar, we can see it's a lot stronger now. It allows you to heal more from wands, deal 25% more damage with Slayer weapons, gain 2.5 combat wisdom with Slayer weapons, and with Smoldering Polarization, you gain 15 magic find on your Slayer weapon. You can also apply this to all 4 pieces of armor, meaning you can get a 100% additive damage bonus on your Slayer weapons, which is pretty cool. Also, as you can see, with the magic find that I have from Smoldering Polarization, I gain 60 magic find against blazes. This includes the Slayer bosses. Same thing for the Atom Split Katana, and I also imagine things like the Pooch Sword, and also the Axe of the Shredded. After some testing on stream, I found that Habanero Tactics was definitely better than Legion for most of the Slayer bosses, particularly for Blaze. I'm someone who only has a Derailious axe with Chimera too, and for me, it allows me to deal quite a bit more damage, and also not have to rely on the Derailious axe because I get more magic find out of my Slayer weapons now. Now this doesn't necessarily apply for everybody, and I do recommend some testing with this with your specific build. However, if you're someone who has like Slayer weapons with Chimera on them, I think this could be a huge boost for you. And if you're someone who doesn't have Chimera 5, or if you're someone who doesn't have like a Relic G-Drag, this might be better for you as well than something like Legion if you're interested in doing a lot of Slayers. Do keep in mind though, if you're not going to be doing a lot of Slayer content, this is not really what you're going to be wanting to use. I do have to do quite a bit of Slayer content still, so this is pretty interesting for me. Overall, Skyblock 21.1 is pretty interesting and does have quite a few features that players will enjoy. However, the issues related to pest hunting are pretty major, and I do hope that the admins are able to resolve them over the coming weeks. I imagine that for the next few weeks we'll be testing out stuff related to the raffle event, which will be happening in early February, and I'm definitely excited for that. At the end of the day though, my name's Derailious, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas, I'll see you then.